Keep your clothes on, everybody. All right, here we go. So let's go to share screen. We'll just, it seems to be working pretty well. Let's say that I want the word leg and I want her leg to be going through it. All right. So let's get the type tool. Let's make it a little bit bigger so we can see what we're about to do. All right. So how to get the image of the legs to be masked into this? There's two ways. There's the longer way, and then there's the really short way. Here's the long way. With the layer created, you can hold the control or command key down to generate a selection based off of it's what's called alpha, but it just means transparency. So all you've really done is just made a selection. You know, you could have used the wand probably, just grab the type, got the marching ants. Now you got the marching ants. Click, select your subject or whatever you want masked. Pop a mask on it. Let's turn our type off. And there you go. That will work. But this other way will work better because you will have the ability to change the type, the size, the font, whatever. So let's try that a different way. I'm going to trash that mask off. Now, the demo that we didn't get to today, and oddly enough, that's exactly what we're going to do. It's in the, what did I call the folder? Like class demos. There's a demo file in there. Demo files, clipping masks. This is what we're going to do. So this file, if I download it, and you don't have to do this, we'll do it as a class on Wednesday. But I don't know if you can see the type up here has an image of a skyline. And that's exactly what I'm about to do. So got my piece of type. Boom. Now, the way that this needs to work is I always use the analogy of cookie cutter. So the word legs, the piece of typography, that's the cookie cutter. The legs are the cookie dough. So I want the cookie cutter to cut out the cookie dough. The cookie dough has to go on top of the cookie cutter, which is another way of saying that this image needs to literally be right on top. So as long as the image is sitting directly on top of whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be a piece of type, it could be a shape, it could be a different layer, it could be an image, it could be a mask, it could be whatever. Then, let's see, I'll move this over a little bit. Then what you can do is with the layer sitting right on top, just right click and choose create clipping mask. So this works a lot better for a couple of reasons. One, I've got full control over what I want shown. So if I like, it looks pretty good, but it'd be better to have some of the roller skate in here. Just get the layer that's on top, get your move tool, and nudge it around until it looks right. Or I can say, you know what, it's okay, but I really thought that Rockwell was a little bit thinner. We'll change the font. Double click. And maybe not extra bold. Let's do regular. And that mask still exists. It's just a clipping mask.
And you can also keep editing the text, right?
Sure, yeah. So maybe I don't want legs. Maybe it's supposed to say arms. I can even, I think, if I'm not mistaken, layer styles will not adopt the clipping mask. So if I was to put a drop shadow on it, it's a bit much. Yep. So I've got a nice effect on it, and it's not being interfered with as far as what's inside of the clipping mask. So clipping masks can be really useful. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a piece of type. Here, I'll release it. Click on that layer, right click, release. This time I'll just make a little squiggle. I'll do it on top so I can see what I'm about to do. All right, so I'm still using 23% opacity. I'll pull it up to 100 so you can kind of see how this works. So the one on the left-hand side is semi-opaque. The one on the right-hand side is fully opaque. Oh, I just painted right on the layer. Back that up. Make sure that I'm on a layer above. Now I'll do that. All right, so that's all opaque. 50% opacity and 14% opacity. Now check this out. Legs go on top, right click, create clipping mask. So you can see that some of it is see-through, but not all of it. So the places that I painted that have full opacity, the image fully shows up. The places that don't, semi show up. So that's another good reason to use a clipping mask as opposed to a conventional mask. Just make sure that whatever you want clipped sits right on top of the layer, right click, create clipping mask. It'll give you an icon, like there's a little right there, a little drop down, meaning that it's bound to that layer. And then if you say, it looks okay, but I don't need that much, just you can erase out whatever you want. The image isn't going anywhere. It's just whatever the image is tied to, that's being erased. If I want to paint it back in, just get my brush back out. Paint it back, whatever you want. That's how I would do it. And if you guys want to tool around with this, this is the setup just like the Magritte file. There's the final. Here's how it's actually built. So you could kind of like reference and figure out what it is, but here's all the raw pieces. Kind of go back through this the way that you would that Magritte file and see if you can figure it out. And then if you need to check your work, the working folder has it kind of pre-built.